Okay, so it's the day before Easter. It's Saturday. We just got back from the bee place and we've picked up 5 new hives, Italian bees. Of course, these are the ones we like. And there's a storm coming. It's really windy right now, so I want to get this done before the storm moves in. The nice thing is when you get new girls, they're usually pretty calm. And these are proving to be the case. So I'm going to get them installed hopefully before the winds, well, the winds are already here. So we're just gonna get these girls. I already pre-placed the box. Did this yesterday. So now it's just a simple matter of getting them out and then putting them into the new home. I've already done the Bravo yard, so we've got 2 in the Bravo yard already. And we're in Echo yard right now. And we're putting 3 here. The girls know when the rain's coming, but they're also pretty good when it's windy. They normally stick pretty closely to the hive here. So there's a good group there. This is fairly heavy frame. We've got plenty of honey on both sides, and I'm going to put these into the box in the same order as I'm getting them out. Doing a quick inspection, even though there's usually never a problem from the bee place, which is in Somerset, literally only about 20 odd minutes away. But that was my biggest concern with the storms that were in the area. We need the rain, there's no doubt about that. All right, so the queen is working, no problem there. See plenty of larvae. I'm not going to take too much time to find the queen. And what dropped is a mite strip. Let me grab that. So the mite strip is important. You want to keep those mites off of the bees, off of the girls. So this hive has come along quite nicely inside this particular box. Oh yeah, we got plenty of new bees coming along. And they're doing well on the honey as well, so decent hive. I'm pretty excited. All right, all the frames are in. I'm gonna give it a couple of days to make sure they're situated, and then we will come back and add more boxes. Now we have a lot of girls inside. We have a lot of girls inside, so I'm gonna just tilt it, encourage them to come on out. Encourage them a little more to come out. They really don't want to come out. All right, and the top, we'll do the same. All right, they're in, and you know, unfortunately, I see a group of not so healthy bees. I'll just say it up front, they're dead bees. So what I'm gonna do is, the girls will clean house on their own. But what I'm gonna do is just take some of these dead bees and just scrape them out. If they're alive, they'll be able to make their way back to the hive with no problem at all. All right. I saw a hive beetle out there too. Okay, so that's done. I'll put the top on. And this is the deep end and the shallow end. I want to put shallow end because every time I put the deep end on, they normally end up making a lot of comb up here. Because the girls know how to make use of space. They're quite good at that. All right, first one. Actually, this is number 3. I'm going to come back and tie all of these down in a few minutes. But we're going to move on to the next box and get all of these taken care of. And tomorrow, because I didn't even bring the beetle juice, as it's called. This is a hive beetle trap. And you can mix it with like a canola oil, olive oil, add a little bit of apple cider vinegar. That's an attractant. Once they hit the oil, they can't get out. So oftentimes the bees will chase them into the trap unknowingly, but they do help. But we're gonna get the other hives done here and move on. Okay, so carrying on with the Echo group, we have 2 more hives to install. And as I said, I'll come back and put the beetle blaster in there. This hive box down to here, we're just going to transfer them straight out into their new home. Brush them. All right, so just separate some of these. Try to be careful with separating the, because they will start to stick. I don't want to hurt any of the girls in the process. Okay. Bee bread, stored honey, and the nectar, which isn't, you know, fully honey just yet. They'll put a cap on it later. This is the first one out. I'm sliding this one in. As I said, I'm keeping them in the same order as I'm taking them out of the box. And we'll come back later and add more frames once they fill out these loose ones a little more so. So there's a lot of extra space still for bee bread, nectar, and the like. And I don't want to give them too much space. It invites other issues. So we have a lot of extra room in some of this. So they'll have room to expand. And there's plenty of sources of pollen for them. So here I'm seeing the work of the queen. So we've got some cap larvae. Plenty of cap larvae on this side. So these young ladies will be busting out of here anytime now. And the last frame. So the bees I get from the bee place, they're always really good. I never have any issues. This is the heavy frame, nectar, capped honey. Yeah, and you can see where they're starting to build out a little bit here, there. And it's what they'll do. You give them space, and they're going to make the comb where they need to or where they want to. So that's why we normally add in more frames. We give them just enough space. It's called the bee space. It's enough room for them to maneuver and do what they need to do, but not enough for them to actually build comb, even though some will try it anyway. All right. So once again, unfortunately, we have a few dead bees around the bottom, but I'm going to go ahead and encourage all these cats to come on out. The ones that are alive can fly, so that's not a problem. Okay. All right, so I'm going to do another scraping action here on the bottom. Nice and easy to, I want to say, bring out your dead. They'll do it on their own, but I'm going to help them out here. That's a hive beetle. So I see a hive beetle, so yeah, I'm gonna have to get those traps filled up and put them in here. So I know I scraped out and pushed out some live bees. The ones that are alive will fly back up into the hive. Of course, the dead ones will just be dead. They're hanging out there. So all right, we're done. I'll put in the top on this one and we'll move on to the last one. Yeah, the goal is to try not to hit anybody, crush anybody. That's the goal. Windy day. All right, last hive to put in. So we have 5 new hives, and I'm putting the last one in right now. And as I look about, the clouds, the storms are coming in, so we're doing great on timing. Ugh. So each nucleus, and this box is called the nucleus, we have 5 frames, and the frames have honey, nectar, growing larvae. So essentially you have, we call it a nucleus, but it's exactly what you need to start off a new hive. All right, so getting this one, as with the other 4, make sure I put them in there in the same order, and I'll do a quick inspection, looking for the larvae, the cap larvae, the nectar, the honey, all of that. Doesn't take long. The queens are not marked in this, and it's no big deal not having a marked queen, but I know I've got a queen working because barely see the white dots in there. They're little worms, it's pretty much what they are. And then after a spell, they get a little larger, then the bees put a cap on there for the larvae to finish growing. And then the bees, the young baby bees, pop out on their own time. So that's how that works. So I know the queen is doing some good stuff in here. And the queens are normally, getting the queens from this place, they're always calm. The problem I have is when they produce another queen out here, yeah, it normally gets ugly. That's when they stop liking me. Okay, so I've got larvae, checking on the color. So there's something to be known like a foul brood. Need to do some more research, but part of it is I've got a dead bee right in the middle there. Not sure about that egg right in that area, but I'll check it out. I'll give it a couple of days before we come and inspect this one again. Last frame in. Lots of nectar in this one, and that ought to do it. Okay, so as before, we have an unfortunate number of dead bees. I'm going to take a wild guess and say they just couldn't get them out of the hive. They couldn't get them out of the nucleus, and for whatever reason. But I'm going to try to get most of the live ones out, except for the hive beetle, and the rest of them I'm going to put right here on the ground, because the live ones will make their way into the hive, which is right upstairs. They'll hear from the rest of their sisters on it. So we have 5 frames. We have room for 5 more frames, and I'll probably give it a week, maybe 2 weeks, for them to, I really want 80% filled on each frame. So each frame should have 80% filled with whatever they're going to put on there, nectar, brood, or the like, and then we'll add. I don't want to give them too much space, and if I see them building comb anywhere else in the empty area, we'll go ahead and add the frames then. When you have moths in the area, and you don't like moths at all, if we have a decent and healthy system going on here, we've got bees pretty much covering the whole area. Now, if they have too much space, then you've got frames that may have brood, nectar, or anything else on them, and not enough bees to cover the area. That's when you can have issues. All right, we're looking good. This is it. I'm going to cover this up. The winds are picking up a bit more here, and the rain's coming in, so let's get everything covered up and tidied up, and we'll do one last look through. All right, that's it. We've got 5 new hives installed here at Summerhead, And this one is it's busy with activity. Very busy with activity. Coming in and out, and you know, they're going out to get the lay of the land, find out what's happening, where they're at. This one's not so busy right now. They're all staying pretty much tied up in there. Hello, they're in there. Don't get me wrong, they're in there. The other thing is the temperatures have dropped quite a bit, so that's going to affect them as well. And each one is their own little weather person, so I think they know the weather is coming in. All right, so this is Echo. We're gonna take a quick walk up to Bravo. And as you can see, it's getting a little dark up there. So it's moving this way. It's coming south. We already got hit in San Antonio with the weather. Their water station, I need to do some more work with the water station. Keep them out of the pond. The water's decent here, so we have to put more water in there, and I'll cover that up in a minute. So, all right, walking up to Bravo. You have hopefully some happy ladies up here. Get this thing open. One sec. Okay, here we go. All right. So this is doing pretty good. They're being quite active already. But like I said, they need to figure out where they are. So they're going to check out their new home. The frames, of course, really important. So, you know, they'll have some concern with the frames. And then they'll do some dancing to find out where the water is, where the nectar is. And then, because they'll do a little dance, a directional dance, showing the other bees where to go for food and other stuff. So it's actually pretty cool. But it'll take a few days for them to get situated. And they've got the honey stores, the nectar stores that take care of the brood. All in all, we're looking pretty good. All right, we're gonna come back out here, most likely tomorrow. Put the beetle traps in, since I have seen, I've seen the beetles, the hive beetles already. So we gotta take care of them and nip them in the bud. Other than that, it's a pretty good day.